The identity of the killer of 5, or possibly 6 women in the East End of London in 1888 has remained a mystery, but the case has continued to horrify and fascinate. Between August and November 1888, the Whitechapel area of London was the scene of 5 brutal murders. The killer was dubbed Jack the Ripper. Attacks ascribed to Jack the Ripper typically involved female prostitutes who lived and worked in the slums of the East End of London. Their throats were cut prior to abdominal mutilations. The removal of internal organs from at least 3 of the victims led to proposals that their killer had some anatomical or surgical knowledge. Rumors that the murders were connected intensified in September and October 1888, and numerous letters were received by media outlets and Scotland Yard from individuals purporting to be the murderer. The name Jack the Ripper originated in a letter written by an individual claiming to be the murderer that was disseminated in the media. The letter is widely believed to have been a hoax and may have been written by journalists to heighten interest in the story and increase their newspaper's circulation. The public came increasingly to believe in a single serial killer known as Jack the Ripper, mainly because of both the extraordinarily brutal nature of the murders and media coverage of the crimes. All 5 killings attributed to Jack the Ripper took place within a mile of each other, in or near the Whitechapel district of London's East End. The first murder, of Mary Ann Nichols, took place on August 31st. Annie Chapman was killed on September 8th. Elizabeth Stride and Catherine Dowson were murdered on September 30th and Mary Jane Kelly on November 9th. These are often referred to as the canonical 5 Ripper murders, although Martha Tabram, stabbed to death on August 6, 1888, is considered by some ripperologists to be the first victim. There has been much speculation as to the identity of the killer. It has been suggested that he or she was a doctor or butcher, based on the evidence of weapons and the mutilations that occurred, which showed a knowledge of human anatomy. Many theories have been put forward suggesting individuals who might be responsible. One theory links the murders with Queen Victoria's grandson, Prince Albert Victor, also known as the Duke of Clarence, although the evidence for this is insubstantial. Violence to prostitutes was not uncommon and there were many instances of women being brutalized, but the nature of these murders strongly suggests a single perpetrator. A quarter of a mile from the scene of Catherine Eddowes' murder, the words, "The Jews are not the men to be blamed for nothing," were found scrawled on a wall in chalk, and it was suggested this was written by the killer. A police officer ordered the words to be removed, fearing an anti-Semitic backlash in an area with a large Jewish population. The murderer is also sometimes thought to have made contact by letter with several public figures. These letters, like the chalk message, have never been proved to be authentic, and may have been hoaxes. Jack the Ripper's murders suddenly stopped in the fall of 1888, but London citizens continued to demand answers that would not come, even more than a century later. The ongoing case, which has spawned an industry of books, films, TV series and historical tours, has met with a number of hindrances, including lack of evidence, a gamut of misinformation and false testimony, and tight regulations by the Scotland Yard. Jack the Ripper has been the topic of news stories for more than 120 years, and will likely continue to be for decades to come. More recently, in 2011, British detective Trevor Marriott, who has long been investigating the Jack the Ripper murders, made headlines when he was denied access to uncensored documents surrounding the case by the Metropolitan Police. According to a 2011 ABC News article, London officers had refused to give Marriott the files because they include protected information about police informants, and that handing over the documents could impede on the possibility of future testimony by modern-day informants. In conclusion, Jack the Ripper was never caught, and his identity remains a mystery, to this day.